You have these voices that are fresh, that don't have television experience.
Oh,
they might cause you to think outside of this television box. There's just something that bleeds through on the screen when you're watching, where you can tell, like, oh, I know a Black person wrote this.
We're once again in the throes of inconsistency in Black television. And this is something that we've weathered before, and therefore we can weather this again. This is a history that's important, and this is a story that is going to shape what comes next.
With entertainment as an avenue towards expanding the imagination, I think it's nice to throw into the mix a dramatic fantasy love story where people literally get to ride off into the sunset at the end, which is what they do.
Pick up your fucking trash!
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Are you gonna go back inside and jerk off to this?
Yeah.
Let me watch.
There's an audience for these stories. I don't have to, make the nice version of things or like the clean version. It's just about making the truthful version of something.
Please, Ian, what's going on? Stop it. Come here.
Listen to me, I'm explaining to your wife, your son, he's been arrested on suspicion of murder, right?
He couldn't.
Take him to the station for questioning. You can follow us there, it's on Harewood Street. Do you know where that is?
Of course I do, yeah, it's around the corner.
You might be entitled to compensation for any mess that we've caused you today. Fill
What
this
do you mean?
in and get it back.
Bash the bleeding door in, love.
Why'd you nick guns for a 13-year-old? He's 13.
The thing that I've loved is going into schools and talking with young people about the show. And it starts off talking very specifically about Jamie Miller, and then it leads into conversations about their own lives.
And in that moment, there was such a deep sense of connection. This sense of empowerment emerged. We started to believe in ourselves.
Too many stories about deaf culture have been told by hearing people. And so it always has that bias to it. There were so many times where I would just automatically, as a director, step in and say, oh, this is what we should do. And then I realized that we should never do that, because from the deaf point of view, that's, insensitive or doesn't capture what the deaf experience was.
Part, I guess, that both of us probably relate to is freedom of speech. That is the one thing we're supposed to be involved with, especially with satire and parody. And I feel like we're old soldiers in that fight, so that feels cool.
Please welcome Television Academy President and CEO, Mari McIntyre.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2026 Television Academy Honors. For almost 80 years, the Television Academy has been celebrating excellence in television. But it is this night and this honor that I feel recognizes work that is truly exceptional. I strongly believe that television is simply the most effective medium for bringing about positive social change. And the programs we recognize tonight are some of the best from the past year that exemplify how the power of storytelling can broaden perspectives, champion the unheard, introduce viewers to different cultures, thoughts, and ideas, and expand our understanding of our shared humanity. I want to take a moment to thank and acknowledge the 2026 Television Academy Honors Selection Committee for their time, hard work, and dedication in identifying the programs we're honoring tonight. Also, a huge thanks to the co-chairs of the committee, Bobby Banks and Howard Meltzer, for their generous commitment in leading the selection process that resulted in this incredible cohort of shows. I also want to acknowledge our generous Television Academy sponsors, Decoy Wines, Fiji Water, LG, People, the Ritz-Carlton, and United Airlines. Thank you for your support. as we honor these exceptional programs tonight. And I especially want to thank the creators and the crews, the talent and the production companies, the studios and the networks behind the shows we're here to honor tonight. I was at an event a few years ago where Tracy Ellis Ross put it so very eloquently. Television may be a small screen, but it is a big responsibility. To everyone who worked on tonight's programs, you have all met and exceeded that responsibility. And it is your exceptional work that has set the bar within our industry. So let's give a round of applause to all of our winners. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our MC for the evening. She is a television host, a producer, a New York Times best-selling author, and an activist, and her body of work extends far beyond the medium of television, yet we are so honored that she continues to make TV her home. A tireless advocate for social change, and a previous recipient of a Television Academy Honors Award herself, she has mindfully crafted television programs that foster unity and celebrate all facets of humanity, along with some really good food. Please join me in welcoming multi-Emmy Award nominee, Padma Lakshmi.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here with you tonight. And of all the ceremonies that the Television Academy hosts each year, tonight, this event is the one with the most soul. Television excellence is abundant, but directly contributing to social change or even just social awareness these days elevates a program from excellent to vital. Our honorees tonight, each in their own way, have benefited society as a whole. These are the shows that people will talk about long after they've wrapped, and as our first honoree proves, they will talk about them with the ecstatic joy that comes only from a sports-coded romantic comedy. I'm, of course, talking about Heated Rivalry. Yeah, hot mega hit series as intense and thrilling as the sport it portrays. I think it's hockey. By unfolding the love story of two rival professional, yes, male hockey players, this series marks a paradigm shift in romantic comedy. It's no longer just the purview of one type of love or one type of relationship or one type of meet cute. Above all, the massive popularity of this series is proof that these stories are now firmly in the mainstream, breaking barriers, stigma, homophobia, and probably a few front teeth. This is Heated Rivalry.
Such an asshole. I think maybe you like it. I can smell the cigarettes from here.
Ugh. I had one.
You shouldn't be smoking.
And you shouldn't be talking. Come here.
No, you come here.
No, you come here.
No, you come here.
I read an article in the Washington Post about romance being the most successful genre of fiction, and it mentioned Heated Rivalry in it as one of those kind of culty books. I was like, I think I need to option these books, even though it did not feel like the most obvious route to getting a show on TV, but I love them so much.
There's been a lack of queer representation in content, and we were happy to bring that forward because we felt like there was an audience that needed to be served. And we also thought because of the fan base of the books, this would not just serve a queer audience, but there was an opportunity for mass appeal here as well.
It's a gift that a lot of actors don't get, which is like quality storytelling, quality writing, directed by a great director, filled with great cast, and then I think it's become this great gift for people who felt marginalized or unseen or just want to experience sort of like joyous love.
Oh, so you're kind of wild.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time somebody's told me that.
Yeah, that actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah?
Blueberry with banana. I take that if it's okay to order off menu. Kip.
I mean, technically it was my idea, so I think we can get away with it this time.
I think it's one thing to talk about closeted athletes. I think the thing that really sets the show apart is that it has a happy ending. It is about two queer men who fall in love and then are allowed to be happy. And that's what, as gay people, we don't get. We get a lot of trauma and we get a lot of struggle and pain, which is also very real.
I don't think there's ever a wrong time to tell a story that involves marginalized or groups that are prejudiced against.
So, you and her are not?
We're not. She's great, but we're just not compatible, I guess. The fan reaction is crazy. There are some surprising ones, people who maybe on paper don't have things that cross over with the kind of characters in our story, but they still feel like it really helped them.
We've had great outreach from all over the world, famous and not famous. It's just been amazing to see.
The show has moved folks in ways that I, again, did not expect. I was so surprised by the degree to which people want to tell me their stories and why this show is so meaningful for them. But it is amazing to have made something that touches people like that.
The Television Academy honors Heated Rivalry, and here to accept is creator Jacob Tierney. Congratulations.
Thank
what a
you.
pleasure
It's
to
an
meet
honor to meet you. You know, when you option pornography, this has been, I mean, I don't know why it's really hitting me tonight. I don't know if it's Padma, Lakshmi talking about my show or just being here in this company. This show has been a surprise every step of the way. And I can safely say that the biggest surprise and the one that I'll probably take with me the farthest and the longest, that means the most to me, is that I found a network at home in my country, Crave. A lot of my folks are here tonight, and they let me make a show. And they did not note me to death, and they trusted me, and they let me make this show. And it's a real pleasure to work with you guys. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for making this show with me. Thank you to our friends at HBO for picking it up and showing it all over the world. Thank you to my two wonderful people in my life here, my agent, my lawyer. My agent really, you can say what you want about my agent, Matt Smith at CAA, but I've been to both of his weddings and I've known him for decades. He really is one of my best friends, and my lawyer, David Hiller, who I also love, my sweet assistant Kat. Thank you so much. I didn't expect any of this from this show, and I'm so grateful to be here and to be included, and I'm so grateful that the joy that we felt making it and that the desire we had to put this into the world resonated with so many people. Thank you so much to the Academy. This means a lot. Thank you. Good night.
Sometimes a story needs to be told again and again, as many times as it takes, until we finally listen. Our next honoree is a 40-year-old story of one of the greatest activist movements of the late 20th century, the Deaf President Now movement. Tonight, we honor a documentary that brings the story back to the center of our intent. I have a monitor, but it clearly is not helping. I'm very edited on television, so bear with me. Tonight, we have a documentary that brings the story back to the center of our attention, as unflinching as its subject matter. It's 1988. The students of the world's only university for the deaf, Gallaudet University, banded together to protest the appointment of a hearing president because two capable deaf candidates were overlooked. The protest grew exponentially, and the quest for deaf representation exploded beyond the school grounds and into the wider world. It was a casting off of the marginalization of the deaf community as they successfully fought to be led by one of their own. Created and co-directed by a deaf filmmaker and largely crewed by deaf members of the television industry, this is Deaf President Now.
There's a firestorm that's seething at Gallaudet University. The school's board of trustees bypassed two deaf candidates for the school's presidency. in favor of a woman who can hear.
I refuse to accept this.
When Niall DeMarco brought this idea to my company, I didn't know anything about it. I was an American history major in college, and I read about all the incredible moments where we saw an injustice and fought. But the fact that we didn't even know about the protests at Gallaudet just blew my mind, and that's what was sort of the urgent desire, was to tell this story so it could never be forgotten again.
So Deaf President Now is a civil rights movement that pretty much no one knows about. The movement essentially, focused on in our movie, follows these 4 student leaders who led a massive protest across Gallaudet University's campus. Gallaudet University is actually the only deaf university in the world, and the reason they were protesting was because for 124 years they had dealt with a paternalistic administration. They'd never had a deaf president and wanted one to represent them as a student body.
And in that moment, there was such a deep sense of connection. This sense of empowerment emerged. We started to believe in ourselves.
And this story is so beautiful because you see these everyday students that were not particularly politically involved, and in a matter of hours becoming super engaged, finding a way to work together, create a national urgency around this, and we see them win.
And so we came up with 4 demands. 4. Number 1, a deaf president.
2, Spillman resigns from the board.
3, 51% of the board must be deaf.
And they strongly suggested adding a 4th demand: no reprisals. So the students felt safer to be involved.
When Davis decided to join this project and co-direct with me, I told him one of the biggest things that I care about is that I want our production to reflect essentially what Deaf President Now represented. They wanted deaf people to lead the university, and I wanted deaf people to be able to lead this film in telling their own story. And Davis and Apple were excited to bring over 40 deaf folks on the crew to work behind the camera. Prior to this project, I've always been the only deaf guy on set. The entertainment industry in general, looks at representation as though we just need one. But that's not really the case. If you want authenticity, you have to bring more voices to the table.
The privilege of Niall inviting me into his space, the space of a deaf storyteller, and the privilege of saying, let's do this together and let's carry this precious story across the finish line, I think I'll remember for the rest of my life.
The Television Academy honors Deaf President Now. Here to accept is co-director and creator Niall DeMarco, accompanied by ASL interpreter Gray Van Pelt. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Wow. Wow. Well, thank you all so much for, myself as a 4th generation deaf man. My mother taught me the history of Deaf President Now when I was just a little kid. And when she taught me, it wasn't just telling me the story of what happened, but essentially why this history mattered so much, because it was truly about taking our power back. So when we made Deaf President Now, we knew that this story had value. And we knew that the deaf community really deserved to see themselves lead in their own narrative. We didn't want to see them just as consultants and not just as advisors, but as directors and as producers, and even more roles. Over 40 deaf crew members helped make this film, and that's what it looks like when you actually center the community that you're telling a story about. It's so important to bring their voices to the center of the conversation. I grew up seeing deaf stories told again and again by hearing people, always by hearing people, and I could always tell the difference, because that nuance was missing. The authenticity was missing. I'm so incredibly grateful to Apple as well as to Concordia Studio for believing in having deaf leadership at every level. And I think with this film, that is what broke through. So I have to say thank you so much to Davis for sharing the chair after over 30 years, to wonderful producers, our wonderful friends at Apple, to the excellent producers, to Amanda, to Jonathan, our editor wizard, Michael Hart, of course, Graham, my interpreter, and to our incredible deaf crew, thank you so much. And most of all, thank you to my mother for instilling in me these values. To the deaf president, now for your courage. Truly, this honor is yours. Thank you.
Our next honoree weaves a story that is both universal and inextricably linked to our current time. The limited series Adolescence isn't just about the gauntlet of growing up. It's about an inflection point in our civilization. We've come so far, but yet we now face a new threat, a world where our children retreat into the darkness of a glowing screen, where bad actors and unmoderated social media weaponize the normal angst of just growing up. Much like the magnificent feat of the one-take camera work of this series, childhood can't be retroactively fixed in the future. That work must be done now. This is Adolescence.
You need to sit down. I don't want to sit down. If you don't sit down, I have to stop this discussion. Maybe I want you to. Do you? It'd piss you off, that, wouldn't it? You'd have to go home and then come back again. Jamie, if you do not sit... Look, I don't fucking want to sit down! You do not tell me when to sit down! You do not control what I fucking... Look at me now! You do not control what I do in my life! Get that in that fucking little head of yours!
Stephen Graham called me and said, I'm interested in making a show about knife crime. Will you write it? And I said, absolutely, but would it be fun to try and write it together? Stephen had never written before. And he said, yeah, what we'd seen, recognised in our country, was there was a problem with boys killing girls. And there'd just been too many cases in the news, and it just made us uncomfortable. And it was like, okay, well, what can we do about it? And let's try and examine it. And through that examination, we got pulled into incel culture, we got pulled into the manosphere, we got pulled into these complicated areas, and we tried desperately to understand them.
I hadn't heard the word incel till I read those scripts. It's so important to educate parents and everyone within our society, and especially our children, of the dangers of the internet.
Do you understand what we're telling you, love? There's no way he's done this. Look, he's had guns in his face and everything. I hope he's happy with yourselves. He's done nothing. He's a kid. Jay, it's all right, lad. Don't worry, son. Jay, me and your mum are gonna follow, okay? Jay, don't say nothing, okay? Jay,
Let's go.
You'll be okay, son. You'll be okay.
You think that the one take is about empowering the director. I actually think it empowers the actors. And crucially, it impacts the writing. That we're still talking about the script midway through shoot, because everyone knows that if we don't capture it in this moment, we can't fix it in the edit. So all of us as storytellers felt empowered by this one take structure.
It's terrifying before you hear action. That feeling is like that fear, and then once you hear action, you're off. You're getting to perform it like a play, but then with the naturalism of the camera. And it's like doing a dance. On that set, it was such a beautiful synchronicity, because it was teamwork as well.
Mr. Malik. How can I help? Let's have a word with Ryan.
Sir, at least stop the tape.
Okay. Just one second. Ryan, go on. Ryan! Stop running. Stop me. Ryan. Hey! Ryan!
I mean, from reading the scripts, I knew it was going to be a powerful piece of drama. But when we were actually on the set, I knew it was a one-off piece and how powerful it was, but I never dreamt that it would go as global as it has. It's opened up conversations between parents and the kids, aunties and uncles, and within our society, it's educating people.
So there's this big movement happening at the moment, which is looking at kids and social media, and we became part of that. As a father of a 10-year-old, I know the damage it might do my son, and I'm desperate that it doesn't do that damage.
The Television Academy honors Adolescence. Here to accept is co-creator and executive producer, two-time Emmy winner, Jack Thorne. Congratulations.
Thanks very much. This is delightful. Thank you. And how beautiful to be amongst such luminous shows. What I love about this award show is it's a celebration of the conversation of TV. Stephen and I always talked about wanting to write shows where people sit on the couch afterwards and just talk about what just happened. And it makes me so proud that every single other show here tonight is a couch show. Thanks to Anne, Mona, Ted, Bella, Toby, and everyone at Netflix. Thanks to Jeremy, Dee Dee, Nina, Karina, and all at Plan B. Thanks to Mark, Emily, and everyone at Warp. And thanks to Hannah and Matriarch. Joe Johnson is a delightful producer. Phil Barantini, a dangerous director. And Stephen Graham is a disgracefully good person to spend your life making shows with. And we will treasure this. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
As colleagues in the television industry, it's become axiomatic that representation matters. We've all seen the positive impact seeing someone who looks like you or belongs to your community or faces the same struggles you face on the screen. And yet, too frequently, it just becomes a box to tick. The docuseries Seen and Heard, The History of Black Television, debunks the cynicism surrounding diversity and reminds us Black people have been creating television since the beginning. This is Seen and Heard, The History of Black Television.
Television is such a closed world. People want to work with the directors that they've worked with before. People want to work with the crew that they've worked with before. The people who work on set, it can't just be that the people you see in front of the camera look like you. The people who you see behind the camera also have to look like you.
Seen and Heard, The History of Black Television is a two-part documentary series about Black representation in TV. We kind of pitched it as from Amos and Andy to Insecure.
I got involved in this project when Black TV kind of was in its height recently. Insecure was huge and just starting to kind of wind down into its final season. And Issa wanted to make a project about the impact of Black creatives on television.
Who is calling the shots about what television looks like in the future? Not just the green lighting, but who is producing, who is casting the actors, who is scouting the locations?
It has to be the costume designers, it has to be the guys holding the boom mic. Building a world of editors of color, creating space for showrunners of color. Like, everybody needs to have an opportunity, and that's the goal.
In a way, it was an opportunity to pay homage to all those that kind of got me here and whose shoulders I stand on. So it was a real privilege to have the opportunity to kind of pay it forward that way and tell this important story.
I've always been really compelled at how subcultures can shift to the mainstream. I've always wanted to document underground movements, Black movements, artistic movements that shape the status quo. You become part of those movements, you become an extension of it, you become a voice, you give it an even bigger microphone, and therefore maybe it's my part in impacting culture and shaping culture and in learning more about myself.
You look at Issa's story, it was like, okay, networks, you don't have a place for me, I'm making my own place. You don't want to give me a seat at your table? I'm making my own table.
The writer's room system can get stale after a while. You're trained to think a certain way. And when you have these voices that are fresh, that don't have television experience, they might cause you to think outside of this television box.
when you're talking about history, when you're talking about facts and life such as it is, people always will find something to take away from it. And I think our job really as storytellers is to kind of harness that and make it a little more salient. It's the story first. It's never really the message leading the story, it's the message behind the story. And sometimes you don't know what that message is until you uncover it and it reveals itself. And that's really the joy of making documentaries.
I really wanted this film to give people hope. And so that to me was the most important thing. And it really is for fans of Black television, whoever they may be. And it's also very much for all of us creatives working in the industry and striving to keep telling our stories.
The Television Academy honors Seen and Heard. Here to accept is co-director and producer Giselle Bailey.
I didn't play sports, so this is my first trophy, and and this is Phil, who we directed this project together. No one else brought their phone, huh? Okay. First of all, thank you to the Television Academy for this honor and for the selection committee. I think what we've certainly learned is that these stories survive because they're fought for and they're championed, so thank you for being part of that fight. Thank you to HBO, Hooray, ARC, 3 Arts, Montreal, and of course, ISA, for believing in us and fighting for stories like these to survive. You know, for us, as Phil said, it's such a deep honor to be able to speak to so many of the people that we grew up like watching. You know, I'm thinking about just the glints of light in my eye watching some of these really heroes of culture, and then being able to speak to them, and for them to give us what really felt like a guide, because as we were making this, we were really living the story that we were telling, the fight for autonomy to tell our stories the way that we want to, for ownership, which is something Montreal always guided us to come back to. It's so important. And to celebrate ourselves, and as Oprah said, to bet on ourselves. And I think Issa has really been an inspiration throughout this and inspired the path forward, not just because of the stories that she chooses to tell, but also how she chooses to tell them, where she chooses to tell them, if you've seen recent news, and how she's really shaped television. So thank you for everything that you do and for betting on voices like ours in telling this story. And I also just want to thank, we had such an incredible team that we worked with. Truly has been an honor working with the crew. And, you know, there's a doc behind the doc for sure, to tell something that, yeah, is just really true for us. Thank you so much.
Dying for sex. The cheekiest pun of a title, right? For one of the most profound explorations of an end-of-life experience ever made for television. Based on the hit podcast of the same name, this limited scripted series follows Molly as a terminal diagnosis of stage 4 metastatic cancer becomes, ironically, a life-affirming journey. That was a long sentence, wasn't it? You guys know what I'm saying. Okay. It's a show about death, sure, but it's also funny and heartwarming and soul-stretching. Above all, it is about a woman taking everything she can from this life before she leaves. The joy, the exploration, the different strands of love that each vibrate differently at each touch. I'm gonna leave that sentence alone. We should all be so lucky. This is Dying for Sex.
haven't done anything with my life. I actually don't know what I like or what I want. I've never even had an orgasm with another person. And now I'm gonna die.
Dying for Sex really, at the core, is the story about my best friend, Molly. And it started with a conversation between just the two of us in my car, and then it turned into a podcast, how things sometimes do. And then it turned into the FX series, Dying for Sex.
I think the fact that it's funny is more challenging because it's sort of challenging you to fall in love with the characters knowing that you're gonna lose them.
I think it's pretty rare to find a piece of writing that feels real and revealing, that is as bright as it is shadowy.
All right, is there anything I can do to make your day better?
Please help me.
Okay.
Are you a clown?
Oh my God. You're the hospital clown.
Yeah, it's all
Get
my
out,
jacket.
get out. Oh.
I think we were all like, we're making this weird cancer sex show, and I don't know, even FX, like, I think they were really excited about it, but we were all like, are we really gonna do this? And like, they were like, you can put anything on screen you want. We were like, you really mean like anything? And so we were all a little bit like, is this actually gonna get like shot and made? And once somebody like Michelle says yes, and not only yes, like an enthusiastic yes, it just changes the tone of things.
When we started, we had maybe 3 or 4 of the scripts, so we knew sort of the beginning of the path, but we didn't know the middle and the end. And then they dealt out these scripts, and we would look at each other, like mouths agape, like awe in our eyes. Like, can you believe we're gonna do that? No. Are you excited? Fuck yeah.
Both Jenny and Michelle just approached it with so much joy and life and humor and courage, and I think that comes across on screen.
When they call and they say Michelle Williams is interested in playing Molly, I'm like, wait, Michelle Williams? Like the Michelle Williams? And so after that, then I kind of oddly got used to these crazy phone calls of, oh, Sissy Spacek was playing Molly's mom. And I just, every time I picked up the phone, there was more amazing information. That never really got old.
Are you on some sort of a sex quest?
I'm trying to figure out what I like.
Is that hand sanitizer? Oh no, it's lube. Okay. That's a lot. Do we need all that?
Yes.
Liz Merriweather, Kim Rosenstock, they wrote something incredible. Nikki and Molly, they lived something incredible. And Michelle and I, as actors, and all of the other actors on our set, we experienced something remarkable and unmistakable.
I am grateful to each and every person that has had the courage to come up and share intimately with me and with my collaborators on this show why exactly this show spoke to them.
I had so many, it makes me emotional, so many strangers saying, I am in this position and I have never felt more seen and more heard and more valued. Thank you for making this. Thank you for writing these scenes. Thank you for showing me what it looks like when someone dies. Like, I'm so much less afraid of death than I was before I watched the show. People needed this lesson about life through her death, and I think she would feel very valued and really proud of herself.
The Television Academy honors Dying for Sex. Here to accept is Emmy-nominated co-creator and showrunner Kim Rosenstock.
I also use my phone, don't worry. Hi, I just want to start by saying on behalf of the entire team of Dying for Sex, we thank the Television Academy for this amazing award. And it's such a massive privilege and honor to be recognized alongside the other recipients here whose work has inspired us so much. This is as good a place as any for me to confess that Rivalry got me through the holidays. And 18 years ago, so did Mr. Hanky the Christmas Pooh. So, you know, it's very meaningful for me here tonight. I share this Of course, first and foremost, with my co-creator and partner in crime, Liz Merriweather. But I really want to acknowledge all of our value partners in this endeavor because it took so many people to push this rock up the hill. I want to say a huge thanks to Dana Walden, our producer, Catherine Pope, everyone at Wondery, everyone at FX, John Landgraf, Gina Balian, Kate Lambert, Barbara Crawford. Endless gratitude to everyone at 20th Television, Carrie Burke, Mariel Brooke, Carolyn Cassidy, who had a note on the pilot that haunts me to this day, which was, "That flesh-colored bra just makes me so sad." We couldn't do anything about it. It was over. And of course, our village of brave, hilarious, big-hearted creative collaborators, the writers, the cast, the crew, our editors, our post team, casting directors who saw, I think, hundreds of men for the role of sweaty guy in Elevator, our brilliant director, Shannon Murphy, who figured out exactly how to place fairy wings on a flying penis, and of course, Michelle Williams and Jenny Slate, who are the beating heart of this show, and their radical acceptance of the story and their love and their bravery and just kindness and generosity lifted this story up in a way that I think all of us were completely blown away by every single day on set. So Liz and I are allegedly comedy writers, and the idea of making a comedy about incurable illness, sexual trauma, and dying seemed really terrifying. But of course, that's what made us want to make it. And in our final episode, Molly is finished with sex and is letting go of her body, which I know sounds hilarious. But it has resonated with people in a way that I think none of us could have really anticipated, but of course, because we're so scared to look at death in our country. And I think we thought the most taboo thing we would be putting on screen was Michelle Williams peeing into the mouth of a man dressed like a dog. But actually, the thing that ended up really, breaking down barriers and starting more conversations than anything were the conversations about death and what actually happens. I also want to thank Nikki Boyer, who's here tonight, who I think is one of the greatest people I've ever met and definitely one of the most wonderful collaborators I've ever had the privilege of working with. And it's just really a message to us all to let ourselves know and be known, and to love our friends and to know our friends and to listen to our friends' stories and tell them again, and that this is how we all live on and connect with each other, because this is just the story of one really amazing woman, but she represents so many people in this community that is so often, put in the shadows and very rarely at the center of a narrative. And that all happened because her best friend, Nikki Boyer, asked her to record her stories and then put them out into the world and wouldn't give up until it was done the way that she felt would honor Molly's spirit. So thank you to Nikki. And then, of course, I want to say thank you to our most important collaborator, the only person we couldn't actually talk to, but that we were in constant conversation with, Molly Cochin, the real woman whose life was the inspiration for the show. As we drew closer to the end, we stopped looking for comedy and began to surrender ourselves to the map of events laid out for us by Molly, who, in an extraordinary final act of bravery and intimacy, allowed her best friend Nikki to record her as she lay dying in hospice. It was Molly's willingness to share her experience and Nikki's desire to hear it that made it possible for us to fully depict the experience of living and dying with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. Sam Eden, an incredible, hilarious woman living with metastatic breast cancer, consulted on this show. It is 6 years since she was diagnosed at just 28 years old. And when I asked her what she would most want me to communicate to an audience, she said, "More and more women under 30 are being diagnosed every single day with breast cancer. If you think something is wrong, go to a doctor, one who listens. Get a mammogram, get an MRI. Don't take no for an answer. Only you live in your body, so only you know when something isn't right." Thank you.
Our last honoree of the evening is an animated series for which every episode is famously crafted in 6 days. The hyper-relevant, hyper-irreverent South Park. Even as it approaches its 30-year mark, South Park still dominates and deconstructs the zeitgeist with deep situational and emotional jokes based on what is relevant and has a point. It's a show that continues to crush taboos while still speaking truth and expletives, shit, fuck, cunt. Just auditioning for South Park right now. To power. And while nothing may be sacred to South Park, it has at its core a deep fondness for the absurdity of being human. If you find something on South Park offensive, it's probably because it's true. This is South Park.
My son said that Jesus was literally at his school.
Then you're probably right to be concerned. It's good you're looking out for your son's education.
Thanks. It's really nice to have someone to talk to about all this.
No worries. Let me know if there's any other way I can help. I'm always here.
You're so awesome. Thanks. Good night, honey.
Have a great sleep, and I'm sure you'll do more amazing things tomorrow.
I think when the show first started, we were definitely, I think we were making fun of television and celebrity culture a little more, maybe. As the show went on, it wasn't some sort of by design. It was more like, we got a show on the air next week. What should we do? And it's like, would you read this thing in the news? And then you just start riffing on that. And there are a lot of other anime shows that may have a 9 or 10 month production cycle. So if you do something in 10, you don't know what the thing's gonna be in 10 months. Well, we're in the week that it's happening. So you just end up making those jokes. And then at the same time, try to make a show that is gonna be something you could watch in 5 years or in 10 years. It's still gonna work, right? And so, I don't know, it wasn't by design. It's kind of because we're just procrastinators and then we're just doing it that week. And it's like, gotta think of something. And then the next week we have to come up with something else.
Yeah.
And so as I think just reaching in the news and reaching into culture for like what's going on.
Mom, something's wrong with my favorite show. It's just like static.
Your favorite show?
Yeah, NPR, National Public Radio, where all the liberals bitch and whine about stuff. Something's wrong with it.
Oh, sweetie, the president canceled NPR.
What do you mean the president canceled NPR? That was like the funniest shit ever.
I don't know what to tell you, hon.
Oh my God.
For 30 years, you've always had some group trying to tell you what you can and can't say. And that group has changed. That group's been liberal, that group's been Republican. We've always known that our job was, we're supposed to be the joker. You need that. You need someone just making fun of things and going, it's a great thing to be able to be. And unfortunately right now, we have a president who thinks his job is to be the joker.
And so that's why we dove into the first season and actually put Trump in there and Jesus and started talking about, Christian nationalism and all that stuff, because we had to let people know, better or worse, if you like it or you don't, is like, this is us, okay? No one's telling us. And again, that can go the other way too. People, I don't like what you're saying. It's like, well, we did say that.
Oh God. The small town of South Park, Colorado is protesting against the president. The townspeople claim that the president, who is a great man.
A great man.
Great guy. We know he's probably watching. And we are just reporting on this town in Colorado that's being sued by the president, and they are fighting back.
And just to be clear, we don't agree with them.
No. We think these protesters are total retards, but our own Jim Connor has more.
From the time we were just starting, when it was like, hey, you can't do this, this is gonna screw up your career, we'd be like, okay. And we'd be like, well, okay, we're gonna do that anyway. When you're doing this kind of stuff, you have to be fearless. We're not gonna be afraid of anyone. And if we're gonna do something, we're gonna do what's funniest, do what's best, and we're just gonna do it. And if they wanna kick us out of town, our bags are packed. It's great.
I'll just go to one of my other houses. I'm fine.
No,
I'm not going to work.
Really don't give a fuck.
The Television Academy honors South Park. Here to accept is co-creator, writer, director, the voice of Cartman, Randy, Mr. Hanky, and God, among others, 5-time Emmy winner Trey Parker.
Wow, it's cool. She's in the ball, and that when she's holding the ball, and then she's in the ball. That's pretty cool. I've just been sitting here thinking that after doing the show for 30 years, I just wanted to say to the Television Academy, like, what took you so fucking long to give us one of these things? I get told a lot that I'm fearless and that I'm brave, and the truth is, as we all know, you can't be those things if you don't have support. You don't have the people behind you. So I've got a lot of my friends here tonight who have worked on the show since 1997 and some before. You guys just please stand up real quick, just please. Because, you know, it's been 30 years of going, you know, basically them being like, we're gonna do what? You know, and especially this year when we started saying like, okay, so this is the show we're gonna do, and they're like, oh, okay, that's gonna really piss some people off, you know, and it is a different thing. You know, we said up there, it's like there's always groups telling you, you know, what you can and can't say. Now that group has a military, and so it is scarier, and you do have to have, you know, for them, they have to be fearless, and it's easier for us now. But I also wanted my daughter's here tonight, and my daughter has been in the show since she was 2 years old, and so she's fearless through no fault of her own. She basically doesn't have a choice. I put her in the show, and she was in the show this season, and I just wanted to know, where'd she go? Okay. There's a whole mix. People were gonna come up, and then people weren't gonna come up, and then so, okay. So this is Frank, and this is Butters. This is actually Butters. He's our friend Eric that I actually went to high school with, has been doing the show with us since day one, and Matt would then sometimes make fun of the way he talked and call him Butters, and that's how that character came about. So to you guys and to you guys, I just want to say thank you. And to my daughter, Betty, I want to say, I know I kind of forced you into this, but don't ever be afraid. And don't ever let people tell you what you can and can't say and what you can and can't think, because you're always going to find people that agree with you. And you'll get one of these maybe. So thank you very much. Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Okay, that's our show. I want to thank the Television Academy for inviting me to host this, and I consider myself a writer first, but to have a career in television for 20 years is astonishing, and just a big shout out to the people who are behind the camera, who we, in front of the camera, are beholden to. And what I love about television is that no one makes television alone. It's a collaborative, wonderful thing that you get to create and give to the world. Anyway, thank you to all of the honorees and the acceptors tonight, and a special thanks to our ASL interpreter, Gabe Gomez. Please join us for our after party. I'm sure it's gonna be rockin' out in the lobby. And have a beautiful night. Congratulations again to all the very deserving honorees. Good night.